Hello and welcome to the video. Today we're going to talk about cargo cults and what that means for you as a person trying to learn how to be agile. What the heck does this have to do with agility? Well, we'll find out here in just a minute. So cargo cults are a really interesting phenomenon. It's something that happened during World War II and quickly after World War II, actually. Um, they were a religion known as the cargo cult. That what happened was there were all these little islands out in the Pacific. And on these islands were native peoples who had little or actually no contact with outsiders. And then comes the World War II. Then comes along World War II, and suddenly there's people from the outside who are flying in airplanes and landing and building airstrips and air bases so they can conduct war from the island to the next piece of land. So they would build these establishments. The people then, the native people, would start trading and sharing with the military, and they would get exposure to these amazing shipments of riches from the world beyond, from what they viewed as some heaven where these people would come from. These pale, different-looking people coming from the land of the dead. Which was in their belief, the land of the dead was to the east, which is where the white man came from, the white military people, and they would get these great things like metal tools. We'd think about that, but what about food, right? What about different kinds of food that they had never had? Beef. There's not a lot of cows hanging out on these islands in the Pacific. And suddenly they would have exposure to different kinds of foods, vegetables, um, tools, things like cotton. Cotton doesn't grow in the South Pacific. They made all their clothes out of whatever they had around at the time, and now they get exposure to cotton. Hey, we get these great new materials and silk. Look at those parachutes in the picture there. Wonderful new materials. And then World War II is over, and what happens to the native people? Well, they stayed. What happened to the military? They left. They pulled out. They took all their materials. They left some stuff. They left an airstrip. They left the buildings. They probably left some knickknacks and this and that, but they left and went home. And the native peoples kind of liked having those things coming to them and liked receiving these gifts and things from these great people from the heavenly places, as it says. Thayer Watkins in the San Jose State University wrote a great piece on the cargo cults, and you could go look that up. It'd be great. So they pulled out, and there were these natives left there wishing that they had things that they were getting before. So what did they do? They started to go through the rituals that they saw the military doing in order to make the shipments of riches from the heavens come again. So they did things like built fabricated airplanes out of bamboo and the things that they had laying around. They made military uniforms and would march around on the base grounds. They made pretend guns out of wood, and radios out of a box and a couple of coconuts or something probably, and would go through the motions that they saw the military doing while they were there in order to get those planes to come back to drop the shipments of supplies. They wanted to get the cargo that they weren't getting anymore. So you could imagine one of those native peoples cranking on the side of, I'm ringing my arm around in circles like I was using an old-fashioned radio, right? The crank radios that they had, trying to get the headset made out of coconuts to talk to make the planes come, and the planes didn't come. That's because the native peoples were going through the motions that they had seen, but they didn't understand that there was nothing inside the box. There was nothing in there to make it really actually work. And I run into cargo cults like this all the time. They're the organizations where a coach came along, or a trainer, and they trained people, and then they left. And those people now are going through the motions. They're holding a daily stand-up. Maybe they're using sticky notes to keep their requirements or to kind of try and track their work. But they're not really understanding the foundations, the fundamentals, the principles that underlie agility that make it really work. So when they find themselves going through the motions, they don't know why they're doing it or what the benefit is. I don't want you to have that problem. And so I've designed my materials to all be heavy on understanding of the principles that underlie agility, what makes it work, and what could make it work in any context, and what, if you changed it, could work differently. Right? I want you to understand so that you can develop and adapt and adopt new pieces. Someone came up with Scrum. Someone came up with, a group of people came up with XP. A group of people came up with Kanban. These things were developed by people who understood some principles. If you understand the principles, maybe you will come up with the next process that elevates production and productivity to even greater heights than we are today. Right? So I want you to understand the principles that underlie and undergird all of agility so that you can be the next Ken Schwaber or Jeff Sutherland. All right. Thanks for joining me today and learning about cargo cults.